After a relatively warm week, the cold weather is moving back in. To prepare, Denver is activating its severe weather shelters. They'll open at 1 tomorrow and stay open through Thursday morning.
While the lower elevations could see some snow, it's the high country that will be impacted the most. This is a live look at Steamboat right now, where you can see the snow is already really coming down. So with that snowfall, you'll want to be careful heading up to the mountains tomorrow, especially on I-70. It's set to hit some traffic tonight and tomorrow morning while heading through the mountain corridor. Want to get over to Corey Reppenhagen now. And Corey, it felt like spring out there today. Tomorrow, that'll all change.
Yeah, I mean, the first 7 days of February, warmest in 16 years, and now we're right back into winter. We've got snow falling. You saw that camera right there with the Steamboat Springs. They've already got 2 inches of snow on the champagne powder cam, and that is gradually spreading its way down into our area. Some light flurries up here on the high country near the Eisenhower Johnson tunnels, mostly just dry streets for now, but that won't last long as we have heavy snow there over the next 8 hours. Here's your day in Denver. It looks like we're going to start out with a little bit of snow overnight between about 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. Might wake up to a dusting of snow tomorrow, and then the temperatures will stay relatively chilly. These will have wind chills, so it'll feel more like about 32 degrees all day tomorrow. I'll have more information on that and the Arctic cold front to come. That's coming up in the forecast.
There's still a lot we don't know about this week's immigration raids. ICE hasn't told us how many people they arrested or detained and how many of those people are violent criminals.
And now surveillance video from that operation is bringing up another concern. 9 News reporter Ria Jha is here with more on that. Hey, Ria.
Yeah, the video shows an officer putting tape over the lens of the camera as the feds were going door to door. I reached out to many civil rights attorneys who say it's unlawful. It's a simple action.
This isn't a tactical situation. They're just knocking on doors.
It's an action that civil rights attorney Jason Koslowski says
just casually making sure we can't see.
Has serious implications.
So my first initial reaction was anger.
This week, ICE agents carried out raids across the Denver metro area. This ring camera footage shows them knocking on doors at Ivy Crossing Apartments when one agent covers the camera with tape.
Both the United States Constitution and the Colorado Constitution protect everybody from unlawful and unreasonable searches and seizures.
Koslowski is basically saying that action is illegal.
That's seizing that camera and that's seizing that person's property rights. If there isn't a warrant, that's the default. That's not lawful.
Inside was a migrant family with young children.
This goes far beyond them just arresting people that they think that they have the authority to arrest or that they should be arresting. This goes to the core of what we allow our government agents to do.
We reached out to all the federal agencies involved who responded with something to the effect of no comment. Beyond the legalities, Koslowski says this is an action that sets a dangerous precedent for everyone.
Whether or not you think it's a good thing that this is happening, I think it should be deeply scary that there's government agents trying to actively avoid accountability.
Unless officers felt they would be in extreme danger if they were seen through that camera, the civil rights attorneys I spoke with said even with a warrant, it would still be against the law to cover it. Ria Jha, 9 News.
Leaders at Denver Public Schools say they've seen a drastic decrease in student attendance this month, and especially over the past few days as immigration officers raided apartments across the metro area. We still don't know, again, how many people were actually arrested during Wednesday's raids, but in an email to families today, Denver Public Schools Superintendent Alex Marrero said students and their families are, quote, living in fear. The Trump administration recently reversed long-standing restrictions on raids in so-called sensitive spaces like schools and churches. We haven't seen raids in schools in Colorado, but as Marrero has directed DPS principals not to let ICE agents onto school grounds without a warrant. The district welcomed more than 4,000 new-to-country students in the last year. ICE called Wednesday's raids targeted operations to capture members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, but we also saw agents indiscriminately searching entire apartment complexes. There has been no official update on how many people were actually arrested, though a Fox News crew embedded with ICE officers during the raids says 30 people were arrested and that only one was a member of TDA.
The retrial of the former Clear Creek County deputy charged with killing Christian Glass is now underway. Andrew Buin is accused of shooting and killing the 22-year-old in 2022. In the minutes before his death, Glass called 911 for help. He was stuck in his car near Georgetown while he was experiencing some sort of mental health crisis. Buin broke his car window, fired a taser at Glass, and then shot him 5 times. Glass later died. During Buin's first trial last year, he was found guilty on lesser charges. However, there was one member of the jury who was a holdout on the second-degree murder charge. Now, prosecutors are trying to get that conviction. We heard opening statements in the retrial today.
I believe that he's told the dispatcher, "I'm not dangerous. The officers don't have to be afraid of me. I will put my hands out the window."
Andrew honestly believed that the safety of another person was in danger. And he honestly believed that because in that moment, that's exactly what the evidence supported.
The trial is expected to last several days. Of course, we'll continue to follow the case on air and online at 9news.com.
Police and federal agents are working to figure out who vandalized a Tesla dealership in Loveland and tried to start a fire there. Sky 9 flew over the dealership today. Investigators say whoever did this targeted the business and the cars in the lot. They say it's the 3rd case of vandalism at the dealership in the past 10 days, but Loveland police say this was the most serious one. A person driving by captured words left on the dealership's front windows overnight that read, "Nazi cars." ATF agents arrived there this afternoon to investigate. At this point, we don't know anything about the attempted arson. There was no sign, no visible sign at least, of a fire at the dealership, and that was opened today. It can be hard to identify victims of human trafficking, but we do know they often rely on ER visits for their primary care.
That's why a nonprofit out of Denver is training nurses to recognize the warning signs. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez joins us outside Advent Health in Parker tonight with more.
What I'm told tonight is that nurses say when people come into the ER, it's their job to determine what type of care they get. But they're also telling me now with this new training program, they're able to recognize a crime they say normally hides in plain sight.
In an emergency,
would you give 2 milligrams?
Patients rely on quick care.
Room 3.
From ER nurses at Advent Health Parker.
We do see a lot of patients, and we see patients of all sorts and different types.
Kaylee Griffey, a registered ER nurse for 10 years, says a new training program
We can use these resources that are in here.
Opened her eyes to another type of patient care.
Until, we had that training, I didn't really realize how much people complain of the same things that are having, sex trafficking or being sex trafficked.
Well, statistics tell us that so many human trafficking victims and survivors are seen an average of 9 times by healthcare providers before they are discovered or if they disclose.
Janelle Goodrich's nonprofit, From Silence to Saved, trains medical experts on how to identify and approach people who need help.
Telling these nurses, hey, if someone had talked to me this way or made this clear to me, I might have been more open to speaking to them about it.
A lot of times we get a story and then the patient's not forthcoming about it. And then once they realize that we are there to help them and we re-ask the questions, they're more willing to share that information with us.
Goodrich says it's information that could help change someone's life.
A nurse came up and said, we had this situation and nobody knew what to do. Or we had a nurse that said, human trafficking's nothing like what I thought it was.
It's a realization that Griffey says makes her a better caregiver for everyone she sees.
I think it's just something else to add to my tool belt of something that I can do.
And you can report tips to the Colorado Human Trafficking Hotline. All of that information is in this story on 9news.com. Live in Parker tonight, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
New data shows a glimmer of hope for the U.S. labor market. Labor Department data shows the U.S. economy started the year by adding 143,000 jobs in January. That was slightly fewer than expected, but the unemployment rate did tick down to 4%. The Labor Department also revised payrolls for November and December, bringing them up by a combined 100,000 jobs. It's officially day 2 of the King Super Strike, which spans dozens of stores across the state.
So besides the conflict between the company and its union workers, there's been an unintended consequence. Girl Scout cookie sales. Yes, really. 9 News reporter Jennifer Meckles joins us live outside of King Super tonight. And Jenny, Girl Scouts have nothing to do with the strike, but now they've kind of been caught up in the middle of it.
Yeah, they're kind of like a collateral damage in this situation. They just learned this week that they'll be unable to set up those booths outside of King Soopers, which have led to really some of the biggest sales that the Girl Scouts enjoy during cookie season. A lot of these troops will invest and buy all of these boxes that they plan to sell up front. Well, now they're in a position where they're stuck. They can't sell at King Soopers, and so other businesses are trying to step up and offer them a place that they can sell instead.
It's a busy Friday.
You want a flat?
At Denver's Mayfair Liquors.
This weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, obviously with the Super Bowl, I think it should be busy here, hopefully.
Some products just sell themselves.
Got your ID handy, please.
Booze inside.
You are good to go. Have a great weekend. Thanks for stopping in.
And outside.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And here are your cookies.
It's not Brussels sprouts and broccoli. They're selling cookies.
While King Soopers employees are on strike across the street, Mayfair owner Matthew Emerson offered up his front door to the cookie booths.
Girl Scout cookies!
We have 4 different troops selling Girl Scout cookies. A lot of the troop parents very quickly realized that they had to prepay for sometimes thousands of boxes of cookies and needed to make sure that they had a way to sell them.
Hi, would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies?
Fifth graders Iris and Annabelle are learning how to pivot.
Yes. I hope the strike does end soon because we do get our best sales at King Soopers. My goal is 2,200 boxes.
And we certainly realize that this is much bigger than us and than cookies, but there is a big impact on our girls, and that the money that they try to raise during this time to fund their service projects, their outdoor adventures, their summer plans, all of that.
While King Soopers storefronts are unavailable, Girl Scouts of Colorado is now searching for other partners. CEO Leanna Clark says it's also a good lesson for the girls.
Hold on, I need a reload.
They are running a business, and this is a reality of running a business, and it's a really good lesson for them to understand that you need to pivot, you need to be flexible, and our girls are very resilient.
In a business, there's a challenge every week.
Matthew was happy to tackle this problem. And the girls?
We'll put them aside. As many as you'd like.
The girls.
All right, I'm gonna need 5 for 30. Let's do 5.
Yes.
Are making the best of it.
So there's lots of different troops coming up with different solutions. I spoke to a couple of different parents this week who are going to work at a car dealership or a liquor store, just somewhere that they can try to move some of these cookies, you guys. As for those 2 little girls, they have really big goals to sell enough cookies that can fundraise a trip for their troop to go to Washington, D.C. Reporting in Denver, Jennifer Meckles, 9 News.
Jenny, thank you. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which manages the National Weather Service, is now in the crosshairs of more government cuts. Thousands of NOAA employees received deferred resignation offers from the Trump administration last week and now face an uncertain future. They use National Weather Service data, models, and guidance to make it so the average American doesn't have to be a meteorologist just to understand the weather. Today, we heard from a former NOAA administrator now standing up for the employees who can't speak out about the downsizing themselves. He had a couple choice words to describe the DOGE-led efforts.
Malicious, vindictive, and overly aggressive. What NOAA winds up providing is the information that your insurance rates are defined by, what your financial risk profile is when your insurer or when your real estate agent or the seller looks at you, the cost of the transportation to bring your goods in by sea.
Extremely important work they do. Weather Service is, of course, viewed as the model for weather forecasting across the country. Without their knowledgeable meteorologists, years of data, equipment, and models, it could be a free-for-all of incorrect and unsafe information.